Putting numbers into perspective, the Consumer Price Index. If you follow economic news, you've probably heard about index numbers such as the Consumer Price Index, the Producer Price Index, and the Consumer Confidence Index. Pause the video here to download the Consumer Price Index handout. You will need this handy for classroom and homework assignments throughout the rest of the course. An index number provides a simple way to compare measurements made at different times or in different places. The value at one particular time must be chosen. This value is referred to as the reference value or reference period. Please note there is no particular method for rounding index numbers, but in this class we will typically round to the nearest tenth. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, measures the average level of the prices of goods and services consumed by a typical urban family. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the CPI each month as it is used to monitor changes in the cost of living over time. The percentage increase in CPI from one year to the next gives one measure of the annual rate of inflation. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, this market basket consists of commodities from such categories as food and beverage, housing, apparel, transportation, medical care, recreation, and educational expenses. When the CPI rises, the typical family has to spend more dollars to maintain the same standard of living. We use the CPI to compare prices from year to year. Carlton's tuition in 2001 was $25,371, while his tuition in 2011 was $42,690. Did the price really go up after we account for inflation? Simply subtracting the 2 years of tuition is not enough to explain what is happening here. We can, however, say that Carlton's tuition rose nominally by $17,319. But was that due to inflation alone, or were there other factors that influenced the cost of tuition? We need to account for inflation when making comparisons across time. To do this, we first need to figure out how much more or less expensive items are in 2011 as compared to 2001. The ratio of the CPIs from one year to the next will tell us how much more or less expensive items were in the new year. The ratio of 224.9 to 177.1 indicates that items are roughly 1.27 times as expensive in 2011 as they were in 2001. So if we multiply the 2001 tuition or dollar amount of $25,371 by the 1.27 or the ratio of the CPIs from one year to the next, we can see that $25,371 in 2001 would be equivalent to $32,218 in 2011. How can we interpret this? Now we can take the difference and we can state that Carlton's tuition rose in real terms or real dollars by $10,472. This $10,472 is the increase in tuition after we account for inflation. It means that some other cause or some other factor caused tuition to rise. Let's take a look at another example. In 1976, the price of a slice of pizza in Boston's Park Street subway station was 25 cents. What would the cost of that slice of pizza be in 2012 if we were to just account for inflation? The ratio of the CPIs from one year to the next will tell us how much more or less expensive items were in the new year. The ratio of 229.6 to 56.9 indicates that items are roughly 4.04 times as expensive in 2012 as they were in 1976. So if we multiply the cost of pizza in the 1976 dollars or 25 cents by the ratio of the CPIs or by 4.04, we see that 25-cent pizza in 1976 would be equivalent to $1.01 per slice in 2012. Has minimum wage kept up with inflation? Compare the change in minimum wage from 1980 to 2010 by taking a look at the table on the next slide. Pause the video here to try to answer on your own before moving to the solution on the next slide. The ratio of the CPIs from one year to the next will tell us how much more or less expensive items were in the new year. The ratio of 218.1 to 82.4 indicates that items are roughly 2.65 times as expensive in 2010 as they were in 1980. Multiplying the 1980 minimum wage of $3.10 by the ratio of these CPIs, we see that if minimum wage rose equally with inflation, we would expect the minimum wage in 2010 to be $8.22. Based on the data from the previous chart, we could claim that minimum wage has not kept up with inflation since the actual minimum wage in 2010 was $7.25.